Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
Hope is dead again. Long live hope. It's been a hell of a week so far.
We ended the last show on such a high and immediately back to dog shit.
It's as if we re-recorded and we published the episode, and then 8 Senate Democrats said, "Well, we can't let those guys, be feeling themselves. Like we gotta take the wind out of their sails a little bit."
Not just take. So
they did.
Why don't we just burn the sails altogether? So last time on Look Forward, we were happy. And then, like Brad said, a group of 8 rogue Senate Democrats, not so rogue, caved on the shutdown. They decided to come out and be like, hey, how about we give you everything you want and we take nothing but a promise from you, Republicans who definitely don't lie and turn their backs on their constituents as well as their colleagues. And we'll see how it goes. And so
I firmly believe that Republicans will adhere to what they promised they would do. I don't think it's going to amount to much of anything, but they'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're correct.
They'll do what they said.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Johnson at first was like, I'm not going to guarantee a vote. And I think they were like, bro, it's not going to pass. Like, don't be a dick. Like, who cares? Just let the vote go, right? In the House. But yeah, I mean, basically the Democrats came out and said, all right, we'll sign on with this CR to reopen the government with the promise that you will allow a vote on the healthcare subsidies for Obamacare to be extended. Republicans are like, we got to open the government first? They're like, yeah. Okay, sweet. Here, we'll hold the football for you, Charlie Brown. Try to kick it. And Democrats are like, oh no. And then they fucking fell in their face again. I am so incredibly disappointed that we got all the way to the 2-yard line and Democrats for the first time actually held. And then they had a great night because they were fighting, because people saw them as fighters. And the lesson they learned from it was, I don't know, why don't we just shoot ourselves in the face?
Well, no. I don't think that's the lesson they took from that. Like I don't think it's like, oh, like things are going too well, we must self-sabotage.
No. But that's not my point. I'm not saying that's the lesson they took. I'm saying that's what they did. The lesson should have been that people like a fighter and we should continue to fight. They did the exact opposite.
Well, but here's the problem, UCJ, is that, fighting for stuff, great. Like that's good. Like we want to, get stuff that we want in Congress. Like that's important. Energy from the base, also good. Like, we want the base to be excited about things we're doing. But held in importance far above any of these meager, goals that Democrats have set up. The thing that's most important to this nation in order to keep things rolling on the right track is to make sure that we do the Homer Simpson dive or in front of the bullet to protect the Senate filibuster from coming under threat. And that's the thing that we really have to make sure that we get scared of, because of this gang of 8 who decided to go. I'm using gigantic air quotes here, around Chuck Schumer in order to work with Republicans to get this vote passed. Angus King, who's an independent senator from Maine, but he caucuses with Democrats, was like, look, I know that you think that I didn't get anything, by doing this, but did you know, you heard, right, that Republicans were talking about nuking the filibuster? And it's just we couldn't let that stand, because what if they actually did it? And to go back to what I talked about last week, great. What the fuck are we talking about here?
What have they done? what have they not been able to do because the filibuster stands right now?
Right.
What if Democrats used it? When have Democrats used it? They haven't. Like, that's the thing, is like, they don't use it, but they have this fear of it being
they use the specter of it, right? Like Republicans are never. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that it is completely useless, because like Republicans will never put a vote for a national abortion ban on the floor, right? Because they know that the Democrats would, filibuster in
okay.
Like that. But again, like you and I talked about last week, again, I feel why are we smarter than people who are actually in government? Like, by removing the filibuster, you force Republicans to put their money where their mouth is and to vote for very unpopular policies. And will that cause some short-term pain? Absolutely. But will it end in long-term gain for Democrats and things that you want to do? 100% yes.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to do a national abortion ban. Okay, so you're going to watch them then get destroyed in the midterms. Okay, do you understand that? They will get utterly destroyed in the midterms. And then when you get into power, you go to fucking work on theirs. Oh, you had a national abortion ban. It's a shame if something happened to that. Tear that shit right the fuck up. Who cares?
But like, imagine
amongst many other things.
Imagine like these Democrats being like, the sanctity of the Senate is more important than extending healthcare subsidies. The sanctity of the Senate is more important than, fighting for the things that we believe in. Like, oh, like, is it really worth getting these things if it erodes the Senate? Like, dude, I could not give a fuck about the Senate. Like, you could shut down the Senate tomorrow and just everything be through the House, and I'd be like, whatever. Like, abolish the 17th Amendment. I don't give a shit at this point.
Just compress it all.
Right. Because it's fucking, if you can't.
But they're supposed to they're supposed to be the cup, or the saucer, Brad.
Yeah, a very like on point analogy. Everybody uses saucers still with their tea. That absolutely happens in normal society. This is before the invention of giant fucking coffee mugs that you didn't. You didn't need to worry about this shit.
In fairness to them, 7-Eleven didn't exist at the time.
That's true. That's a good point. But again, like, if you're so worried about, and that's the other thing, like, and you said this yourself, you're worried about protecting like the institution of the Senate. Meanwhile, the president's over here literally taking a bulldozer to the institutions of the other branches of government. And on the other side of Capitol Hill, the House is just like, go off, bro. Like, YOLO presidency. Like, we're just going to be over here. Oh, you need us to rubber stamp something for you? Like, you got it, dude. But otherwise,
the funny thing is, they barely had to rubber stamp things. They just let him do illegal things.
Right.
Like, they just did. Correct. Tariffs, for instance, which we'll talk about later.
And here's the other thing. And this is this, if this somehow does not end in the end of Chuck Schumer's, leadership position in the Senate, like, I don't know what will, because the reason I did the giant air quotes about like, oh, they went around Chuck Schumer, is because it's not a coincidence that all 8 members of the Senate who worked with Republicans to orchestrate this deal are either retiring at the end of their current term or are not up for re-election until at least 2028, if not further beyond. Like, so that's, so like, you can either believe that like, oh, what an amazing coincidence, or you can understand that they worked with Chuck Schumer in order to make sure that vulnerable Senate members were protected from, having to be on the front lines for a vote like that.
Yep.
This did not happen without Chuck Schumer's knowledge. Well, there's 2 possibilities. Either this did happen without Chuck Schumer's knowledge, and he sold out the fucking Democrats who were holding the line, which means he needs to get fucking kicked out, or it did happen without Chuck Schumer's knowledge, in which case he's incompetent as the leader of the Senate, in which case he needs to be kicked out. And the thing that's driving me fucking insane is that you've had plenty of House Democrats come out and say, you need to remove Schumer from leadership. You've had a lot of people, like people running for the Senate, say, that's Democrats, that you need to remove Schumer from leadership. You know who hasn't said anything about removing Schumer from leadership? Any of the Senate Democrats that are currently in the Senate, the ones who were just sold down the river by Chuck Schumer and his cadre of 8. And I really just need one of them, like a Chris Murphy, like Brian Schatz or someone like that, to have the fucking balls to come out and say, maybe this fucking septuagenarian shouldn't be leading the line for us anymore.
Agreed. I mean, the wild thing is Schumer's point, by the way, or like Schumer's method here is the thing that drives me a bit crazy about Democrats always, but it's a thing that I, on the surface, understand in other scenarios. I'm talking about this one, which is they don't want to see people get hurt, right? And it's a valid argument.
Look, I understand that, but look, again, what's going to hurt people more? Not having tripling healthcare costs, or
right? Because and that's the problem with this very specific situation. Now, to Republicans' credit, and they understood what they were doing. Having people furloughed, having people just kind of sitting at home, and just having a stalemate wasn't enough for Democrats to come to the table, right? Or to fold. They had to use something that was like really in your face, which was, we're not going to give people food assistance and they're going to fucking starve. And they played that line hard, right? And like, look, if you're talking about sort of hard-nosed politics, that is pretty hard-nosed, right? It's pretty fucked up. I think that's beyond the pale, but I was born and raised by a person who has a soul, right? So like, I was taught to give a shit about other human beings. I know, weird. So when Republicans played it that way, they played it hard, and they played it that way because Democrats are notorious for folding because they don't want to hurt people, right? And kids not getting food is a pretty good way to run that line. I understand all of that. But to your point that you just made, which is, if you fold on this, you are fucking people not just in the short term, you are fucking people in the long term. They don't have a plan for healthcare. Trump sort of kind of put out something this week, and he was like, well, my plan, I'm telling Republicans to draw this up. So I'm like, so you've never had a plan. You're just tweeting it out, right? Like, you're just making shit up. It was like, people will be able to just they'll be able to negotiate their own healthcare with companies as individuals. And I'm like, that is literally the worst situation to put Americans in. Yeah,
imagine all the fun of purchasing a car at a car dealership, except if you don't negotiate a good deal, you die, and if you make the wrong deal, you die. But other than that, fantastic plan, I suppose.
So it's like, what? Like, dude. And he's like, I'm going to have Republicans draw this up. They're probably like, what the fuck are we drawing up? Like, this plan.
And you also have other Republicans coming out, like, basically like preaching about pre-Obamacare stuff. Like Tom Emmer was out there being like, well, maybe we just need to bring back high risk pools. I'm like, yeah, that'll fix it, because we don't remember anything that happened before 2009.
Jesus Christ. So I understand from a sort of brain dead logic, if you want to call it that, perspective of like, hey man, we don't want to have these kids starving. We got to get these SNAP benefits, right? I understand that. Like, that's what Tim Kaine said. Like, in fairness, like, I don't think Tim Kaine's a bad dude. I think Tim Kaine is absolutely wrong on this, but I don't think he's a bad guy, right? And I think the logic here is, we can't let people suffer like this. It's been too long.
Counterpoint. Fuck Tim Kaine.
Well, okay, this is totally fair. Trust me, I'm not going to be like, no, not Tim Kaine, please. But the counterpoint I would make to that is, people, while suffering and struggling, they were behind you, and you showed them the difference between you and the GOP. And when they saw that, they supported you. But when you quit, it all gets smashed together, and people just go, the government is broken. That's all they hear. You just put yourself right up against them again, instead of keeping yourself separated from them. Now, with the new news that's come out, the separation is beginning to go back to where it was. However, you could have already won. Just Hold the line. And look, I am, as much as I'd like to give, as much as I'm going to give these 8 Democrats a hard time, and I want all of them turf the fuck out of office the second they can. Schumer should definitely lose his leadership position. If God knows, if it miraculously Democrats recaptured the Senate, 100%, it should not be Chuck Schumer as Senate Majority Leader. Get the fuck out of here.
It should be Chuck Schumer before they capture the Senate.
Okay, that's fair, right? Like,
I mean, it should be Chuck Schumer tomorrow.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah. So my thing is this: I do think in all of this, Michigas, there is something that you do have to give credit to Democrats for. Is everyone else held, and that says a lot. By the way, it says a lot. The House, surprisingly, under Hakeem Jeffries, actually held. I am shocked by this. I still think Hakeem Jeffries can go. I could give a fuck about him being in Congress at all.
Yeah, but it's easy
with the House.
I'm not that impressed with it because it's easy to hold when your votes are inconsequential. It's not like this bill didn't pass the House already 2 months ago. Like the Democrats in the House can sit back and do fucking nothing. So like, yeah, it's great that they held the messaging line. Like I appreciate that everyone in the House held the messaging and also gave the Senate Democrats loads of shit for folding on this. But, I'm not going to give Hakeem Jeffries a credit for the bare minimum. You know what I mean? Like that's cool and all, but fuck that. I mean, they didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. That's why I'm like, he can leave. I don't care. But I am going to give credit. I'm going to give credit to them for at least holding the messaging line, as you said. Just because I think that it is very easy for Democrats to go, can we just quit? This is what we do, guys. This is what we do. But this is why when it comes to the filibuster, when it comes to fights like this is why progressives are better at this shit. Look at AOC. Yeah. AOC's like, the fuck are we doing? Like, we're in the fight. Why are you quitting the fight?
But this also just goes to show me that, like, even if the Democrats do take back the Senate and even if they get a governing trifecta in 2028, what the fuck are they going to accomplish? Because trust me, these 8, I guarantee, are not the only ones that are just like, oh, we must protect the filibuster. I'm sure there are many more that had the luxury of being able to keep shutting the fuck up. Right. That also would throw themselves in front of eliminating the filibuster. Despite the fact that as the United States government in these times have shown, like Obamacare is the last big thing that's happening, the way things currently are right now, and think about how big of a fight that was, where Democrats held a supermajority or filibuster-proof majority, I should say, for at least some of that time. Obviously, like when Ted Kennedy kicked it, like that kind of changed things a little bit, but that, like, the Democrats had like the best hand you could play in politics the way things are right now, and it still was a fucking bare knuckles boxing match, and it still got fucked by one guy fucking shit up at the end of the road to get it over the finish line. So if you're not going to eliminate the filibuster, it frankly doesn't really fucking matter what you want to do. I don't disagree, because you're not going to be able to do big things.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't know. I mean, we can only speculate, but I don't know how many Democrats in the Senate are ambivalent or pro getting rid of the filibuster. But you're right. You can do nothing. You can do nothing without it. Now, here's my thing. Let's say it gets to 2028. Democrats win House, or they get the trifecta, the presidency and all of Congress. The only way you can sort of get what I would argue is a real push in the Senate to get rid of the filibuster is if whoever the president is like, I need this gone. This has been holding up us actually doing shit, and him sitting down with whoever the Senate Majority Leader is. Pray it's not Chuck Schumer. It's somebody who is like a Chris Van Hollen. That would be nice. That would be my choice. And just being like, look, if we're going to do this shit, we got to do it for real. Chris Van Hollen feels like the type of guy who'd be like, let's go to work. Like, he doesn't seem mealy-mouthed at all. I'd put him as Senate Majority Leader. That's who I would back. And just be like, look, if you want me to support you, like as the incoming president, if you want me to support you as my majority speaker, Senate Majority Leader, I'm going to need you to get rid of the filibuster. That needs to be your thing. Kill the fucking thing so we can get shit done. That's it. Oh, but what about Republicans? Worry about that later. Put this shit in place. Do good work. To go by the Tim. What's his face? Who is Kamala Harris's running?
Tim Walz.
Tim Walz, thank you. There was so many Tim Kaines running through my head. A menagerie of Tim Kaines. But yeah, Tim Walz basically was like, when you get power, you don't keep your powder dry. You go right then. Like you win people over on the policies that you pass, not on the idea of like, maybe one day we'll do. You win on the policies that you pass. So just the second you get the power and fucking go for it. That's what you should be doing. So if I'm whoever the, president-elect is for the Democrats, I'm like, look, I'll back you. I'll help make phone calls and like be like, yeah, Chris Van Hollen's my guy or whatever. But I was like, the thing I need from you is when you get in there, filibuster's gone. That's the thing. Get it done. So,
I mean, it's the only way that you're going to accomplish anything.
And the thing is, you cannot fix the things that are broken, that are now newly broken under the Trump administration. You cannot fix them if you do not get rid of the filibuster. So all of we're going to get the country back to work, we're going to get norms back. You can do none of those things. One, without the House and Senate in your control, but you cannot do those things without the filibuster being out of the way. Or at least if you're going to leave the filibuster, put the fucking threshold for using it more than I sent an email saying we're going to filibuster you. That's not enough. It's not enough. Right. You could say, hey, we'll keep the filibuster, but put some rules on it. You got to speak for fucking, you get to speak continuously for whatever amount of time. And when that's over, we're going to vote again. Okay, that's it. And you can't talk about cat in the hat. You got to talk about fucking policy shit. Guess what? Ted Cruz fat ass don't want to get up there and do that. He don't. He want to talk about a bunch of bullshit. I'll be like, no, off topic. Your filibuster's done. Votes on. That's it. Like, make them get up there and stand up there and talk. Like, hey, this is a, Mr. Cruz goes to Washington fucking moment. Get your ass up there and do it. Yeah. But that's some rules or get rid of it. I mean, look, if they're scared of getting rid of it, I understand that fear. Then put some fucking thresholds on it. Sending an email or just the threat of it is bullshit. It's bullshit. It means no one gets to do the job that they were hired to do on either side, by the way. So no.
Yeah. I mean, that's and the last thing to bring it back to this particular situation, like if you're going to do this shit, if you're going to cave and you're going to cave, at least like you said, like at least have the balls to be like, look, I know that everyone wants us to hold out for ACA shit. The Republicans decided that it was more valuable to them to have kids and families starve than allow for tax credits to happen. And we just didn't want that to happen. So like, yeah, like we had to punt this time. I know you're frustrated. We thought it was better to make sure that hungry families could get food. And kind of seed this one, and we'll keep fighting for ACSF. Don't be fucking Jean Shaheen or Maggie Hassan or whoever the fuck said like, like I think that our friends across the aisle will be willing to work with us on extending these ACA subsidies. And like don't do that. Don't fucking do that because you look like you don't live in the same reality that the rest of us have been living in for the last 15 years.
Yep.
Like you look like you live in a parallel dimension where you're completely ignorant to the way the real world has worked in Congress since Obama was president. Mm-hmm. Don't fucking do that because it makes you look like a fucking fool if you do. Right.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I don't disagree. So after that, I unfortunately I couldn't get this Chris Murphy video.
That's okay. Basically, Chris Murphy made the good point, like when this was being talked about last weekend, of like that he was worried that after seeing all this energy come out and after seeing like people like in these elections last week come out and really push Democrats over the line and show that, like, yeah, we love a fighter and stuff like that. Like, as soon as you cave, it's going to be hard. Like, you're going to piss people off. Like, there's some people who definitely felt some serious excitement that are just be like, well, fuck, man. Like, there's no point. Like I'm getting excited and I see like change, and then I don't, like, the people in Washington don't even have our backs. Like, they don't even want the same things that we do. So why the fuck am I going to waste my time? Like, you know, you and I, you know, pound on people who choose not to vote or to vote for like a third party candidate, in these elections, because, you know, it's wasteful, and, you know, the least you could do is fucking go out and vote. But like, I also understand, like, when you are met by constant disappointment all the time, it's hard to fucking get up for that shit, man.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. Yeah, I mean, to Chris Murphy.
That being said, you can't be a pussy. You still have to go out and fucking vote for Democrats. You dumb piece of shit.
I mean,
but yeah.
You have the option of doing nothing or trying to do something like that.
Right.
These are your options, right? You stay home, or you try to vote for the people who, at least when they get power, you at least get like 80 to 85% of what you want, right? You know, the great lie is that like Democrats don't do anything. That's bullshit. That's not true. You can think all of the niceties in America, basically because of Democrats. And we know this because things are all bad now. That's how you know. Think of the opposite of whatever's going on. You're like, why the fuck is there a listeria outbreak? Who can you thank for that? Republicans. Who were the people who actually put those things in place to scam for those things? Democrats. More on that later. So they vote, and, you know, basically the Senate is like, here's our belly, you know, feel free to stick a knife in it. House is like, we got your back, shitty Senate Democrats. We're going to vote for this too. So Mike Johnson's like, hey guys, why don't we all come back to work? Just wild. I was listening to, was it like Chris Hayes, and he was interviewing some, I forget who it was. He was interviewing some Democrat. And he was saying how in the House, like Republican members in House, because remember, the government being shut down does not mean that Congress is like dismissed. Like that's not what that means. And which is what Johnson was doing. He was just like, fucking House is closed, baby. Like, lock the door. Like, go home. He said that there were members of the House on the Republican side who had literally taken, like, they went like hiking. They had taken European vacations. They were like tweeting out like, oh, this is me on vacation. Like, you're supposed to be at fucking work. And these guys are like leaving the country and like going off on these like week or two long vacations because nothing is happening. Meanwhile, Democrats are in DC every day. But sure,
yep.
Both parties, man. They're both the same. Parties being the same is a wild take after this week, by the way.
Yeah. Well, so like you said, the one silver lining of the Democrats caving in on the shutdown is it did force the House to come back in session, because the House had to vote on this new bill that the Senate passed to open up the government. And once the House was back in session, Mike Johnson was out of excuses to not swear in Adelita Gravala, who is the Democrat from Arizona who won a special election 6 weeks ago, but had not been sworn in because Mike Johnson said that, I just can't do it until we're in session. Sorry, like we can't do it. And she gets sworn in, and then literally, I don't know if literally this happened, but basically she gets sworn in, walks right over to Thomas Massie, signs the discharge position to release to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files, and now that is going to happen because we finally have a majority of the House who says, yeah, like, we need to vote on this. So yes, she was the 218th signature, and so thus triggering the discharge to actually get the full House vote in, at this point, at the time of this recording, in 6 legislative days. They will have a full House vote. Here's the thing. And these stories are sort of, disparate kind of things. So I don't know if people have kind of put these things together. She signs, and at the same time, Donald Trump
had literally called Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert like on the phone himself to be like, hey girl, if you could just like not be on that discharge list, like not put your name on it, or pull your name off it, that would be dope. Because you can't pull your name off of the discharge list once it hits the threshold of 218. So even though Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert were both already on there because they were like, I believe in like saving the kids. Donald Trump is like, I might have diddled kids. Please don't diddle kids. And they were like, we're just going to go ahead and ignore what you said on the phone, and we're not going to change our vote. Which
in fact,
to me.
In fact, it's reported that once she did, once she was the recipient of a pressure campaign from the White House, it actually steeled Lauren Boebert's resolve that much more to make sure that she signed the discharge position as well.
Right. And at the same time, and this is the part that I don't think people are kind of putting together. At the same time that's happening, 3 Republicans came out and were like, we're going to vote on releasing the documents when this goes to the House. 3 just broke for this.
Right.
So, yes, they got the discharge, but these guys are saying, yeah, discharge, whatever, like on it or off, it doesn't matter. When this comes up to a vote in the House in 6 days, we're on that shit. It's like Don Bacon was one of them, which is like, wow, who's a pretty conservative guy. So that is pretty interesting. And they brought Lauren Boebert to the White House, like for a meeting, because they figured they could pick her off because she's, kind of a dummy. I got to say, as much as old Beetlejuice handjob gets on my nerves, I got to give her credit for holding the line. I am shocked. Now, we'll see if she holds the line in the actual vote, right? Like, because that could change.
I mean, it would be pretty wild to be like, I'm going to sign the discharge position, and again, I'm going to vote against this.
Right.
When it actually comes time for the rubber to hit the road. I
mean, you put it past Nancy Mace? I don't.
Oh, no, I don't put it past Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace, I can see flipping on a fucking dime.
I've decided that sexual assault is a good thing, even though that's like my whole thing is that like I was sexually assaulted and it's bad. She'd be like, who could say? According to Megyn Kelly, right? So more on that later. So all of this happens. You got 3 Republicans that are breaking for it. There is talk that up to 50 other Republicans could break for this vote. 50 to 100 more Republicans than we know publicly could break for this vote when it comes up in 6 or 7 days. Once that happens, there is a lot of speculation that it will have a veto-proof majority in the House. And the question is, will it reach a veto-proof majority in the Senate?
Will it even pass in the Senate at all?
Well, that's a question. But the thing is, and I think this is a pretty good analysis of the situation. If it has a veto-proof majority, which would be what, 2/3 of the Senate or of the House, it puts a lot of pressure on the Senate Republicans because it looks super wild if like the vast majority of House Republicans are like, we got to release the shit, and the Senate Republicans are like, do we though? Like that feels like a mistake. That like politically, that feels like a huge mistake. So I think if you see 2/3, I think you likely see 2/3 in the Senate.
And if that does happen, if they get veto-proof majorities in both chambers,
disaster.
I just want to see Trump veto it just to see what would happen. I want to see him fucking.
What are you doing?
Do it. Right.
And here's the thing: if they don't get a veto-proof majority, but it's significant,
but it still passes, right?
And it still passes. What the fuck are you gonna do? You're gonna veto it? You're gonna like? And I know people go, yeah, he's gonna veto. Of course, he will veto it. But that moment in your presidency, that right there, that's the end. That's the end. Because at a certain point, everyone else in your caucus has got to go, what the fuck, dude? We're all here. We're all in agreement. You said you're going to release the files. That was your whole administration's thing. If you guys get all the way up to the line and that guy goes, I don't think so, it kills any argument that he is not involved. It kills every single argument across the board.
Brother, I don't know if there's much of that argument left after this week.
No. Look. I didn't think it was much of an argument years ago. Okay. But what I'm saying is, if that got all the way to him and he is literally the deciding factor. No. And the funny thing is, I don't know that he has a choice but to veto it. You can't let the shit rot. You can't. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to let it rock? And people are like, hopefully they don't see my name. Bitch, we seen your name. Like, it's already in the shit that's out. Like, so you're fucked. You're fucked either way, right? You just got to be like, just grab your heart like you're Fred Sanford and fall over. And just hope you just die at that moment.
Yeah, he disappears and all of a sudden, like, hello, everybody. Like, welcome. I'm coming to you from Moscow, Lago, my new home away from home. By the way, I'm not the president anymore. I quit, and I'm going to
Eddie Vance, one of the greats. Yeah, it's either that or Argentina. I don't know if they have extradition rules. They sent me $40 billion. Like, sir, that wasn't for you. It's mine now. So yeah,
What do you mean the Argentinian peso's not worth anything? Oh my god!
Oh no! Who put this guy in charge? Well, how about that? So. But I think the larger thing here is everybody. I see a lot of people say this. I don't think Republican voters are going to give a fuck. One, I disagree. I don't think it's going to be like a size. Well, it could be, but I doubt it would be like a seismic shift type of thing. But let me just say this. I'm going to go on the record here. I may come to deeply regret it. I don't give a shit about what the MAGA cult says because they don't matter. Who matters more in this situation isn't the voters, isn't the fucking you and me type of shit. That's not who matters. I want people to think back to January 6th because when January 6th happened, there's been so much that has happened since then surrounding January 6th and more footage that we've seen and the spin and it was just a friendly day where we're all just walking in and high-fiving each other and shit. All of that stuff has come out and it has clouded a lot of sort of details of that day. Here's a detail I think people forgot. Do you remember how many people in his administration resigned that day when that happened? Remember that? There's a bunch.
We're in the couple of weeks.
No, a couple of days out.
True, because a couple of weeks he wasn't president anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like the day of and like the next day, dude, they had like 6 or 7 cabinet resignations. Not like, I'm head of the Navy in the South Sea. No, it was like Secretary of Education. I got to get the fuck out of here type of shit.
Right. And again, like these are people who were going to be out of work in 2 weeks anyway.
Right. And 3 weeks.
And they still had to be like, hey,
exactly.
I'm making it a point to be like, I'm not okay with this.
Exactly. And that's a thing that people have largely forgotten. And let me tell you something. January 6th was bad. But working for a pedophile is way worse. Okay? It's way worse. Because that means that when he dies in 6 months, hoping, you still have to be the guy to go, yeah, I worked for that guy and I held on to the end even when I knew all of this shit was true. Nobody wants to do that, man. Nobody wants to do that. They want to get the fuck away from people. Let me tell you a little story, okay? Longtime listeners of this show or the TMP network may tangentially know this story. This has nothing to do with anybody who's ever worked in our network. And I'm not saying that like, as a like, maybe it is. It literally has nothing to do with our network. But it has to do with people that we know, okay? Mm-hmm. And I doubt you know this story, actually. There's another show run by some friends of ours. It doesn't exist anymore. But at the time, there were 3 people on that show. And one of those people was credibly accused and sent to jail for trying to hook up with an underage girl. Let me tell you something. The lightning speed at which those other two people put up that fucking brick wall and was like, we don't fuck with this person. We like, there is no like, but that's our friend. Maybe it's a nope. Boom. Brick wall. Never to speak of this person again. Get the fuck away from me. Done. Now imagine that at your job. You hanging out with your boss. If you find out your boss is a kitty fiddler, I don't fucking think so. Hey, do you want to come work for me? I'd rather not. No, are you going to quit your job, boss? No, I'm not leaving. Well, that's fine. I'm fucking leaving. Okay? These people work at the pleasure of the president. And the president apparently likes to be pleasured by young people. So they're going to be the fuck out of there. I'm going to tell you that right now. So it doesn't matter what the MAGA cult says. If your administration starts to unravel, that's what matters. If you cannot run the country because you don't have a secretary of fucking, Secretary of Defense, you'll probably still have him. He's a fucking.
I'm about to say. I was about to say. I think Pete Hegseth would be cool. Would be cool with whatever. He's just like, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Marco Rubio ain't gonna be there. Gone, Gonzo, and he got like 7 jobs in the administration. Like he can't afford it. He's having it. Right? That's your Secretary of State. Gone. Okay. Any of those? You think Linda McMahon? You think Linda McMahon's gonna stick around? Fuck no. She's gone.
I don't know, man. I mean, she that family can weather a controversy.
Here's the thing. She's already weathered the worst of the worst.
Right.
She's like, I mean, yeah.
She hasn't weathered it yet.
Everybody.
That lawsuit's still out there as far as I know. So
does he still have that mustache? Jesus Christ.
No, he shaved it.
Oh, thank God.
Which is good. Dude, which is good.
He looked insane. So I don't think so. I think that a lot of these people, your rank and file folks, I think they're out. I think RFK is out of there. I think he's
you think so?
That's
interesting.
I think that dude, look, he don't want to be around that shit either. Like, you said, I hang out with Epstein. Oh, did you fuck young girls? Whoa. Like, he's going to leave just like he left when that guy fell down.
He'll run out of there like someone fainted in front of him.
So. Yeah, no, he's out, right? So I'm not of the mindset. Hold on. All right, camera. Refocus. There we go. I am not of the mindset that those guys stick around. Are there going to be some that stick around? Absolutely. Those are going to be your scumbags, your Christy Gnomes, your Pete Hegseths, that sort of people. Rest of them, they're gone. Any of his people who were his like hardcore crew in the Senate or the House, defected, gone. Right?
Here's a good question.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, all of them, Nancy Mace, all of them, they're gone. They're gone.
Here's a good question. Let's say hypothetically that you're a young guy in a pretty big position of power who ostensibly would like to have a future career in politics. What does JD Vance do if this stuff comes out and it's like fucking bulletproof? This happened.
He weathers it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he sticks around, and I think as he goes. Me and Erica, Usha, excuse me. My wife. Like, no, I think he weathers it. And I think he does the classic fucking George W. Bush bullshit. Compassionate conservative. Taking it back to the real family values. Donald Trump was never a real Republican. He used to be a Democrat, if you remember, right? Because that's, by the way.
No, I'm not asking you what happens if Trump resigns with JD Vance. I'm saying like this is happening. Trump's like, I'm not going anywhere.
What does
JD Vance do?
Oh, JD Vance has got to go. Like, you got to get the fuck away from him then. If he doesn't want to resign, you got to get the fuck away from him.
Yeah, but you're gonna give up being the vice president when this dude's one fucking Big Mac away from biting it. Here's the thing.
That's a dicey call, man. That's a dicey.
I know,
call.
That's what I'm saying. Like
it's a dicey call.
It's tough either way for him.
Well, okay, you got to think of it this way. Let's say this shit breaks in 7 days. Oh, please, unredacted except for the victims' names. Fucking just everything's out there, right? People just combing through the shit. and he's like, he gives you a Jordan Belfort, like, I'm not fucking leaving type of shit. JD Vance has limited options because JD
25th Amendment is right there. Like
right. I mean, there's that, right? Because by the way, MAGA, like the MAGA cult, is going to think it's all bullshit immediately, right? Like they will. They're like, oh, it's not true. It's not true. And then it's going to settle in after a couple of days. They're like, ooh, did a little bit of reading. This is a problem, right? So JD Vance is stuck between a rock and a hard place because if he leaves, he saves himself and goes, look, I'm out. And I think that's ultimately the right move, because if he does, then he can come back in 2028 and be like, the second I knew this, I got the fuck away from this guy. However, there's another side to it that is not, maybe you're not aware of and maybe other people are not aware of. But, you're pretty tapped into this, so you probably have been. Peter Thiel is also mentioned a number of times in these files. That's JD Vance's board. So even if you get away from Trump, you might have ended up putting yourself out in the public sphere to then be like, yeah, but you fuck with Peter Thiel. So what the fuck? Why are you with all of these weird dudes, right? So there's a situation here that he might be potentially quite fucked. But I think largely, he tries to weather it. Hoping that Trump dies or resigns or is pushed out or 25th Amendment, what have you. But it makes you running for president or your presidency, if he dies, look super wild. And I think you can't keep the cult. I don't think JD Vance can keep the cult together anyway.
Honestly, I think his only option in this scenario, like you have to get the cabinet together and be like, we got to get this fucking guy out of here right now.
Oof. But see, here's the thing. If he does that, even if they have Trump dead to rights, and they fucking already do, if they get him out on the 25th Amendment, the MAGA base will never forgive JD.
Yeah, I'm not saying like even, but you also have to realize that
that's interesting.
But again, you also have to realize that like bailing and then trying to run again also does not go. I mean, Mike Pence is fucking persona non grata to those fucking people.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So I don't know. I love it. I love this for him. I mean, like I'm not mad at it. So
yeah. Look, that certainly would be one of the all-time best moves. Is like Donald Trump having the Epstein files grenade thrown into his lap. And as it's about to blow up, he just grabs JD Vance and is like, give me a hug, buddy, and blows his fucking career up too. Because just standing next to him in this is the disaster, right? Like what we're talking about is like, how would he choose? Think about all the cabinet members who aren't in the line of secession, like legitimately in the line of secession, right? Like they're in it, but like you're 12 steps down. Right. You're this is not a King Ralph situation, right? All these people are not going to die all at once. So those people, it's like, why the fuck am I here? If it's like, hey, I want to do the 25th Amendment. And keep in mind, when you do the 25th Amendment, the president gets to argue why he should not leave. Right? It doesn't just happen and he goes. That's not how it works. So then he's arguing in front of the Senate why he deserves to stay. Who the fuck in the Senate is defending him? Bro, there's you fucked kids. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? So then you have a situation of the national story being JD Vance and the rest of the cabinet trying to drum him out of office. Then the Senate trying to also agree with them, and Trump raging every day online and in the public. So yeah, man, I don't know. I think the JD Vance thing is super fascinating. I hadn't really deeply thought about it. But he's fucked politically. If this shit
I mean, either way, it's a tough, it's tough to see a way out of that for him that ends well. For him, with him as the standard bearer for the party in 2028. So,
I mean, I honestly think that, shout out to one of our listeners, Steve. We were talking a lot about this stuff. I think you got to kind of, and this doesn't just go in the U.S. because there's international implications, by the way, of all this shit. You got to torch all of this shit, put it in the public, and rebuild. Like that needs to be, like, it honestly should be the Democrats' thought process of like, there are no sacred cows in this, no matter where they are.
I don't think the Democrats have that problem. I have not seen anyone.
No, I don't think so either.
Trying to equivocate for Bill Clinton or something like that. If Bill Clinton ends up in this shit, you know what I mean? So
yeah, no. I agree. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that they've seen everything. They have seen some things, so they don't know how bad this truly gets, right? Like, and it could get really fucking bad, right? There's reports of like people who have seen more stuff than is like publicly available have said like the stuff in these files is far worse than what we think they are, which I think they're pretty bad. I can only imagine how much worse they get, right? If you're saying that. So, but they have to have a steel spine in that, right? Because if it starts going up the chain of like, oh shit, like that's a Democrat, or that's a person who's like really important in this other country, and that may destabilize them. It cannot matter. It cannot matter. It has to be all or nothing. And it should, all or all really is the correct answer here. And so for me, that idea of you got to throw everything at this and then just go, well, we got to rebuild when this is over. It is what it is. And like, that's what you have to do. And that's not necessarily, that sounds easy, but I don't think it is. Especially dealing with, I mean, not to get like too conspiratorial about this at all, but like there's decent arguments that suggests like Epstein was connected to Mossad in a lot of this. Like if you actually follow some of the stuff he says, like he was trying to broker some deals for like defense, like technology and shit to like an African country from Israel, like Israeli defense tech to African countries. Why the fuck does he have access to even broker those things? There's only one explanation, is that he's involved directly with the Israeli government. There's emails that were leaked. By the way, these emails that were leaked, or not leaked, but released, that the Democrats released, they had subpoenaed or, like sort of Freedom of Information Act, Jeffrey Epstein's estate. And they got these emails. And so they were like, well, as good a time as any. Let's go ahead and throw out
let's go ahead and put out a sneak preview of what you might see if if this bill passes.
Right. It was like, do you like appetizers? Here you go. And so in some of those emails, he was talking about having conversations with Sergei Lavrov about Trump and like wanting to be on the phone with Lavrov to explain like the type of man Trump is. And shit like that. Why the fuck is he talking to Sergei Lavrov? Like,
well, and that's the thing that we found out is that it sure looks like that for being a guy that Donald Trump says he cut ties with back in 2004, I think Trump has said is when he cut ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein sure seems to have a lot of knowledge about the goings-ons of the Trump, 2016 campaign and. Talking to Steve Bannon and talking about like, hey, like I don't know if Jared would be cool with this. Like I don't know if he's interested in doing this, but maybe maybe that's a thing to go down. Finding out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
How about that he spent the first Thanksgiving of Donald Trump's first term together?
How did we not hear about this?
Yeah, so look. MAGA does this thing where they're like, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago 20 years ago, but he had Thanksgiving dinner with this dude in 2017. Right. They sat down and broke bread together, and I'm sure told disgusting stories about their fucking past and or present. That's your friend, dude. That's your friend. That's your friend. You don't invite random people to your Thanksgiving that you're not friends with. You've been to my house during Thanksgiving, I'm pretty sure. You invite your friends. That's what you do. Like, you don't just invite, like, I hate bread. Why don't we have them come over for a holiday? What the fuck? No, get the fuck out of here. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So, no, they were friends, and they still are friends. And by the way, Michael Wolff is implicated in this. Like,
not just implicated. He was giving Jeffrey Epstein like advice, like advising him, on what he should do.
Yeah, like I suppose Wolf would make the argument of like I was embedded trying to like be his friend or whatever. I'm like, it just seems like y'all just trying to do dirt together. Look, maybe you're not lying, but from what I can tell, shit seems a bit suspect, bro. Like when you're like, hey, why don't you do this and let Donald Trump hang himself? And interesting choice of words.
Here's a quote from Wolf to Epstein, because basically Michael Wolff told Jeffrey Epstein that the CNN was going to ask Trump in 2015 while Trump was campaigning about their relationship. And like Epstein's response, quote, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Wolf's reply, quote, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt.
Why is a journalist saying this? Why is it?
Well, I'm pretty sure we could use the term journalist in fucking mega air quotes at this point. With like
air quotes, journalist, socialism. Right? So what the fuck, Michael Wolff? Michael Wolff came out with a video today, and he's like, "Well, this whole thing, like, this gets to the question that we're all asking: what was their relationship?" I'm like, "You fucking piece of shit, bitch! You know what their relationship is,
like, bro. I have some new questions for you, Michael.
Yeah. How about question number 1? What the fuck? Like, okay. Question 2: how dare you? Right? Michael Wolff is. I don't know if he's playing both sides against the middle. I honestly don't know. I think Michael Wolff is Michael Wolff is a bad dude. Okay, like he is a scummy journalist. That I 100% believe. Was he embedded with Epstein so that he can kind of pull information and get some deeper shit? Apparently, he's really good at that kind of thing because like he was able to get some like really deep seated information out of the Obama administration too. Like that guy, somehow people just don't see him coming.
I think
this
there's a difference between getting in tight, but I think some of that goes out the window when you get caught advising the convicted pedophile.
Agreed. And and you're only interviewing him because you know what he did in his connection to Trump. So it's not like he doesn't know that Jeffrey Epstein is this like garbage human being. You know that. And you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe you could get a debt. You could carry a debt with it, on him. Bro, this guy fucks kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing right now? Like, why are you hanging out, sending friendly emails? This is weird. So yeah, that was super curious. But to me, the biggest thing that came out of this was Trump and him spent Thanksgiving together in 20.
Yeah, again, I feel like that's being undercovered currently,
super undercovered
by the news. So
yeah, that's a big deal. Like, okay, man. So okay, my question. You asked me the JD Vance thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll propose something to you. It comes out, they drop the fucking hammer, smoking guns all over the place. There is no getting around this. It is definitive, right? And like in the email, all these emails are like Trump knew about the girls, but I'm talking about like being an email like Trump fucked ex-victim, and then and they know under redacted who that is, and he's a piece of shit, blah blah blah, and like it's just definitively laid out in these files. What do you think the response is from two groups? What do you think the response is from the MAGA, like your like not your regular MAGA people, but like your MAGA like influencer types? Because I'm very interested to see what their response is. Like your Rogans and those sort of dudes, right? What do you think their response is, and what do you think conservative media's response is? Because that's kind of one and the same, but two different things.
I feel like you're asking me a question that we're already seeing the answer to.
Yeah, I guess I'm teeing up the next door.
Yeah, I mean, like you're asking what the response is gonna be. It's gonna be the same thing it is whenever any smoking gun comes out about shit they're doing. The true diehards, like the true ride or dies for this dude, are gonna find a way to equivocate or to explain away or to like distort the facts, be like, well, actually, like, is it really that bad? Like, what actually happened? Or like I think, you know, like the emails are probably like taking some things out of context, and like they will bend over backwards like they always do for him. Because I have no faith in anyone to have shame or scruples or, you know, like any of that shit anymore. Because again, to them, sure, all of this whole political arena, the fucking Dems versus Republicans, all of it is a fucking game to them that they can sit back and offer punditry on and this, that, or the other thing. None of them have a fucking hard believed truth inside of them. Any position on anything is completely flexible to the whims of what Donald Trump and the GOP want to do. Again, like the GOP used to be the party of like their whole fucking brand. The whole thing, like the fucking thing under the banner that says Republican is we are free market capitalists. And yet the same people are trying to explain to us how it's a great idea that Donald Trump is forcing companies to sell like stakes in their companies to the US. Because you know what I mean? Like there's not a single position that any of these people fucking hold that would survive under any pushback or duress or scrutiny or challenge. They will move to whatever position they need to stay in line with whatever's happening over here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. Yeah, I'm very,
and I don't think there's a limit. I don't think there's a limit to what what they will stoop to.
This is the test, by the way. This is the test, because if you can figure out a way to be like, is it that bad? Try to fucking snake your way through it. This is the test, because there's nothing more disgusting than this. There's not. Like abusing children. There's nothing worse in society that we have. Like in society, everyone can agree, or we at least used to be able to agree, that having sex with children is an unacceptable line. Republicans are like, hold my apple juice. Let's see if we can get these kids into the van. Right? Like that's how terrible they are.
But the way you know that there's no bottom is that the stuff that came out today, and like you said, we're going to pivot into the next story, is not like, well, what did Donald Trump do and when did he do it? But the argument that's coming out is, was Jeffrey Epstein that bad actually? From some areas of conservative media.
Which is a wild take. That's a wild take. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.